The following is a paid program sponsored by the friends and partners of Faith Life Now. Today on Drenda.
If you feed the body right, which we're going to talk about with these props right here, we have seen Asperger's go away in 18 days.
Welcome to the program today. Wow, Amy, today's topic is really sobering for me as a mom of 5 children. Over 6 million of our nation's children are on some type of behavior-altering drug. Yes, you heard it, drug. And today we're going to be talking about how you can stop ADHD in 18 days, and that's without drugs, because we don't believe America's kids need to be drugged. Welcome to the program with me today, Dr. Bob DeMaria, as we talk about how we get over ADHD in kids. Thanks for coming, Doctor.
Welcome today. Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Well, I am just absolutely, I guess the word appalled is all I can come up with. Shocked that many children in our nation are on medications. Under 18 years of age, over 6 million children. What's going on with this, Dr. Bob? What is this about ADHD?
It's food.
It's food.
It's food. It's junk food. It's what people have in their cupboards at home. But you know what? The average child eats 167 meals outside of the home.
Wow.
So it's hard for parents to control.
31 million kids eat at the National School Lunch Program every day. So wherever you're at in the United States or in the world, look to see what your kids are eating at lunchtime. It's very frightening. Do you know how many prescriptions are used in the United States for ADHD for kids under 20 years old? Are you ready? 25 million prescriptions.
25 million?
25 million. And I recently read in one of the nation's business newspapers, they ran out of a drug called Adderall. They ran out of it. ADHD kids usually, this is going to be kind of sad, have ADHD parents.
Really?
ADHD kids have ADHD parents. You want to know why? You know, you go to the Bible and they had the sheeps and the goats eating from the trough because people eat from the same trough.
Makes
And
sense.
so whatever the parents eat, the children eat, and we see it. And that whole 18 days, it's not about Dr. Bob. I'm not the one that's curing them in 18 days. It's if you feed the body right, which we're going to talk about with these props right here, we have seen Asperger's go away in 18 days. But here's the good news. If you have a child at home that has ADHD, don't fret, because what I have learned from my experience, these kids are very, very smart.
Yes.
You know what we're doing to them? We're putting the wrong fuel in them. This is what I usually say, because boys usually have ADHD, by the way, more than girls do. So I have these young boys that come in and they kind of look at me like, oh my gosh, am I going to get a shot? So I tell them, you're like a jet and you're on an aircraft carrier and you're getting ready to take off and they get really excited. So at this point, what's going to happen? The jet's going to either crash or it's going to soar.
Right.
And I look them in the eyes and I say, it all depends what you put in the gas tank. And they get it. Now I have a little prop right here, okay? I just love props. Inside of this ball, there's a computer with 2 batteries. Are you ready for this? We're going to have a little bonding right now. I know this wasn't. I need help, your left hand.
Okay.
Hold your mom's hand. Now, your mom is going to...
Are you going to shock us?
Your mom's going to have, watch this, a shocking experience. No, not really. You see that little piece of metal right there?
Yes.
I want you to touch it with your little finger. Little finger. And don't let go. Touch it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Now, can you all hear that?
It's a small world,
Watch
yes.
this. Watch.
Oh my gosh.
It's not magic. We work by electric. That's how our bodies work, which you may not also realize. This is an old printer cable, but I had to hold on to it because this is a great spinal cord. So information goes from your brain down the spinal cord. Well, it goes on a layer of fat. the layer of fat, and you could do a search on this, is called the myelin sheath. The myelin sheath is made up of fat. If you eat this,
French fries.
28 pounds, the average American consumes 28 pounds.
In 1 year?
In 1 year of French fries, the average American.
Yeah.
So if you eat French fries, guess what the fat around your nerve is going to be made out of? The fat that they cook the French fries in.
Trans fats.
Trans fat. So fat molecules are C-shaped. Fat molecules are C-shaped.
Okay.
Trans fat originated back in the late 1800s. There was a chemist who was looking for a source of wax. So he heated this chemical up, vegetable oil, he added a catalyst to it, the molecule twisted. C's do not interlock with T's. God made C's, remember, man tampered. You don't ever eat anything tampered. No matter what anybody tells you, if it's in a box, you gently put it down.
Okay.
But there's a term called the half-life. You know, recently we had this major tsunami that happened in Japan. We're concerned about the radiation, et cetera.
Right.
Well, trans fat has a half-life. And the half-life for trans fat is 51 days. That means if a child ate a breakfast pastry or a breakfast cereal that had trans fat, and another name for trans fat is partially hydrogenated oils in the ingredients, that's going to wreak havoc with their body for 102 days. 51 and 51's 102.
Okay. Wow.
The half-life for this fat, which is found in flax oil, is 18 days. Hence the title of the book, Dr. Bob's Guide to Stop ADHD in 18 days.
Okay.
So what happened was, is in the early 2000s, actually for myself, it happened in 1995, they had a snapshot of the United States and the USA Today. They had a map of all the snack foods that people were consuming. The most was Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan.
Really?
Interesting.
About 25 pounds.
Must be the winter.
It probably was. And then during the next is New England, like 24 pounds. The least was Miami and LA. A year later, our local newspaper did a week expose on Ritalin. See, Ritalin's a Schedule II drug, methylphenidate, just like amphetamine. Well, the maps overlaid each other. They were like a perfect silhouette.
Wow.
So that's when, by the grace of God, I learned that something was in that snack food that was causing, because they overlapped.
Right.
So I did more research, and I found out that trans fat sabotages, is going to be a big word right now, a fat in the brain, which we talk about in the book, called DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. So if you have a child at home that is consuming snack food with trans fat on a regular basis, their brain is short-circuiting. So my wife Debbie and I, we did a pilot program. Kids were saying that they were doing this. Thunderstorms were going on inside of their head. So we started doing diet surveys. So we actually did a pilot program. We added B vitamins, minerals. We took them off of trans fat. We also know that a lot of these kids were consuming a lot of dairy. We cut back on the dairy. We put them on a marine oil or a fish oil, and we had them take 1 tablespoon of flax oil per day per 100 pounds. So what happened was, I know this is intense, in 18 days, their body started making DHA.
Wow.
So when we did the pilot program, these kids were everywhere. And I was concerned, because I had to go back and do another meeting. So we came back in 3 weeks, and guess what? They were all calm. Because this was before the book, this was our research. They all got better in 3 weeks or 18 days.
Awesome.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Dr. Bob, how much of this is money-driven, putting all these kids on medications and not really getting to the root of what they're eating? And I'm looking, by the way, I'm looking at all these things. These are the things that we feed our kids in this nation. Sugar cereals, candies, peanut butter, Jeff,
French fries.
You know, and French fries.
You look at the kids menu at all restaurants.
Potato
what
chips,
does it have on it? Unhealthy fried food.
Yeah, it's fried chicken strips and French fries. That's the typical kids meal, or some pizza or a hot dog.
Right now, today, as you and I, we're sitting right here, 1/3 of your kids are going to go to a fast food restaurant. today in America.
Wow.
1/3 of all, and the number one food, chicken nuggets and fries. But we mentioned breakfast cereal. Look, you have to become label savvy. Look at the label.
Yeah.
These little death balls are going to interfere with fat metabolism in the brain. See, it's not about Dr. Bob. Water freezes at 32 degrees. I don't care who you are. Trans fat sabotages your body's ability to make good fat.
Right, it makes sense.
You can be anybody. It doesn't make any difference. It impacts everybody the same.
Wow.
So now how does discipline play into this as well? Food, is there an issue with discipline? Because I know when I was reading this guide that you've just put out, it's awesome. One of the things it mentioned was all of these killings, Columbine, all these things that involve teens, young people killing, they were all on Ritalin. Shocking.
It is. It's very frightening. And I think what's going on today, yes, we have a home issue, okay? Because we have moms that are single moms, half of the moms today, and they have children. Oftentimes they could have multiple children from various biological fathers. So you have a lot of stress in the environment at home, and they have fast food is sometimes a little bit more cost effective, but it's throwing off this whole brain sequence.
Wow. When we come back, we're going to be talking about ADHD, how to get your child off of medications.
Hi, I'm Marty Copeland, and I want to talk to you today about a serious issue that we're facing in this country. Did you know that children between the ages of 2 and 19 are overweight or morbidly obese 1 out of every 3? That's over 12.5 million children in this country are obese. And not only are they overweight, but they're dealing with health issues associated with overweight-related diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. And as a matter of fact, our generation of children is the first generation that has been touted to have a shorter lifespan than their parents. So what are we going to do about it? I mean, that's very alarming. Well, I've got good news, and thank God, God's always got good news for us, and the good news is in His Word. And Proverbs 22:6 says, "Train up a child in the way he shall go, and when he's old, he'll not depart from it." So parents, grandparents, older siblings, role models out there, I want to encourage you today to train your children. And you know the old adage, do as I say and not as I do? Well, you know that doesn't work. Children copy us. They do what they see us do. So we've got to make a quality decision to get educated about what's good to eat, how to exercise our bodies, and how to teach our children to make healthy food choices. We've got to teach them to turn the television off, go outside and play. We've got to teach them to choose fruits and vegetables over junk food. I mean, basically, if it comes in a box, don't buy it. But the most important thing is to love your kids and to teach them the value of the health of their body and to do it with them. So I just want to encourage you to take the Word of God, take this knowledge, do it with your kids, and let's turn the situation around for good.
I'm shocked at all that we're learning today. But
Oh my
Dr.
goodness.
Bob, there is in 18 chips 3.5 grams of trans fat, and I could eat 18 chips, like you said, in 18 seconds and not think anything of it. That's crazy.
I know, and it's very interesting is back in 1998, the government released in the nurses' study that if a nurse, ready for this, ate 1 gram of trans fat or more per day, it increased her chance of heart disease by 20%. 1 gram.
1 gram. And this is 3.5 and 18 chips.
So
wow.
if you look very close, you see where this says 0 grams trans fat?
Right.
Don't be duped by that. If you
Okay.
see a product that says 0 grams trans fat on it, you want to go to the nutrition facts and see if it has partially hydrogenated oils.
Okay.
Those two terms are used interchangeably. So
Oh, wow.
red
So
flags.
it's really sneaky.
It is sneaky because you could go to the store and you could see a package of cookies that says 0 grams trans fat, not even think anything of it, throw it in, and you're going to give it to your child at home, and they're going to eat those. So that's one item.
Okay.
And probably out of all the foods on the planet, you have to just look at ingredients.
Yeah.
The ingredients in this particular candy are food coloring, sugar, and items that are going to throw off. It all comes down to this. It's DHA. Food coloring throws off DHA. Trans fat. Now, the reason I talk about trans fat so much is because of the half-life. So a child could eat a breakfast pastry, a breakfast cereal, have a food item at lunchtime, come home from school, have a snack all day long, all day long. So when these kids did the pilot program, and it did work, they all got better. And we see this in our practice all the time.
So you say there is hope beyond the drugs to get these kids off of this.
It's what we're putting in our, somewhere along the line, people have missed the boat that what we eat actually is fuel, real fuel. I don't know why it happened. It's
we know
not
that
good.
in anything else. We know it with a car. We know it with, like you said, a jet. But we don't think about it with the body. I love in your book you also talk about behavioral, family behaviors. You talk about, so many good things. You talk about food. You talk about supplementation. So we're talking about what they shouldn't eat. What should they eat?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to become label savvy. I talked about box foods. You really want to actually have to prepare food yourself. Have the children participate with you. So we encourage eggs for breakfast. Eggs are not going to raise their cholesterol. Quinoa, which is a grain, it's a very popular grain today. Even the superstores sell that. Rice cereal, coconut milk, almond milk, rice milk on the rice cereal is a good start for the day.
Okay.
So then at lunchtime, you could have, I would prefer hormone-free deli meat. Almond butter is better than peanut butter. I know there are moms watching us right now that have kids with chronic sinus problems and coughs that I have found from my experience, it doesn't have to be just Jif, it could be Peter Pan or any one of them. So we don't promote peanut butter, almond butter. A great snack would include walnuts. If you think about what the half of a walnut looks like, what's it look like?
A brain.
A brain.
Yeah, that's true.
So walnuts, almonds, cashews are also very good. Kids love sweets.
Right.
Organic raisins are the best. Minimize sugary sodas because, see, this is how much sugar is in one soda pop. We promote spritzers, which are grape juice sweetened, LaCroix, herbal teas with lemon in them. You may, and I've had many a child who watches the snack food, but they drink too much dairy. And I know someone's watching us right now and saying, well, where does my child get the calcium from if they don't drink cow's milk? So I'm going to answer your question with the question. When was the last time you saw a cow eating cottage cheese, milk, or ice cream? They don't. They eat hay, grass, and alfalfa. So almonds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, greens. Now, you know why kids don't like the taste of greens today? Because their tongues have been tricked from the beginning.
Right.
Because there's so many food preservatives today. So they're usually deficient in zinc. Zinc takes away, you're losing their taste for food. Sunflower seeds are a great source of zinc, so are pumpkin seeds. We encourage a product called Celtic sea salt. Remember this, boys need oil 3 times more than girls do.
Really?
Wow.
So you oftentimes will see a young boy anywhere from 8 to 14 years old. They're growing 1 tablespoon of flax oil per 100 pounds.
Is that one of the reasons why boys typically have ADHD more than girls?
You are very smart. It's exactly right. So these ADHD children cannot finish projects.
Right.
So you know you have something called ADD, attention deficit syndrome. They just don't pay attention. And then you have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity.
Hyperactive.
They're like all over the place. And then you can have a child that has ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. They're doing this. If you just change their food, work with them, talk with them. We actually have, and you could Google this, put my name, Dr. Bob DiMaria, my wife, Debbie DiMaria, rice cereal treats. Rice cereal with almond butter. We use a sweetener called pear sweet. And you can get butter, and you warm it up, put the rice cereal in with the almond butter and the pear sweet, and mash it down. You just made a rice cereal treat.
Treats.
Wow. And it's sweet and it's fun, but it's not bad for them.
No, and you want the kids to
Put them on a
participate.
drug or
Right,
medication.
You can have them do. The kids love to do that. You know what the
Yes.
#1 food channel or channel is besides the Drenda Show?
What?
It's the Food Channel. Kids love to
Eat food, make food.
and they make
kids-
food.
Yeah.
I always hear
yeah.
that.
Yes.
Participate with your
So
kids.
if you get the family together, you start
Right.
cooking together, and you use natural ingredients
Yeah.
that are in their most natural state. And you
Because
start
part of
from
this
there.
goes back to families are just running. They're, like you said earlier,
No
we have
time.
brokenness in families, too busy, too many stress-filled activities. We need to say no to some of those things and be more focused as a family.
We're
Right.
fractured. Our
Yeah, we
families are
are.
fractured.
One quick question. I don't know if you have done any research on this, but how do electronics and TV and all of that also affect kids' brains?
What's kind of interesting you bring that up because I have teachers that work with children who have some dysfunction, and because of all the thumb work, you know, there's something called cross crawl, leg, arm, leg, arm, leg, arm. I've had teachers tell me when the kids do their thumbs too much, if you have a child, ask them to bend over and touch their toes. A normal child will bend over at the waist. A child that has not been wired properly because of this will bend over straight down.
From the knees down.
Really
It's
interesting.
It's a very interesting body signal. Yes, electronic components confuse the brain. You
right, it
need to
affects-
sleep,
Right, exactly.
and
Wow.
it stops the whole sleep process.
Wow.
So when we come back, I want to find out what age you say you can play electronics and what age not to. Right back.
It's estimated that more than 5 million school children are on behavioral medication. That's why Drenda wants to make this special book available to her friends and partners today.
Hello, my name is Dr. Bob DeMaria, and I'd like to invite you to get Dr. Bob's Guide to Stop ADHD in 18 Days. You may be thinking, how can anybody stop ADHD in 18 days? It's all about the fat in your brain called DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. Do you know items that are in your breakfast cereal and in your pastries, French fries, peanut butter? It's called trans fat, can sabotage your body's ability to make good brain fat. The 18 days comes from eating good oil like flax oil and walnuts. This book will change your life in as little as 18 days.
You'll learn what foods to avoid and what should be in your diet. There's even a chapter with irresistible recipes. Call or go online now to order your copy.
Dr. Bob, I have to say, this is very sobering to me. During the
Yes.
break, we were talking about it's not wrong for someone to be ADHD or ADHA. You know, I have a son that's super creative, and as a little boy, he ran through the house. He didn't do anything slowly.
didn't never walk, he just ran.
never walked. He just ran, and he's
Yeah.
super creative. And as an adult young man, I'm just grateful we didn't put him in the traditional school system. They would have put him on Ritalin, no doubt, and who knows what. We have suicides in our. You told me how many kids are committing suicide
2,000
on
a
these,
year.
and they're on medications.
I know it's frightening.
There's a connection between suicide medications. And when I think about that could happen to my son, who's a bright, creative person, these are bright kids, aren't they?
Very smart, and it comes down to that, you know, I'm not a teacher and I don't pretend to be a teacher, but I think our model needs to be adapted for the variety. We have very
Right.
smart kids
Learning
today.
styles, yeah.
And they have so much access to so much technology.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Now, I go to restaurants now, and I see these little kids,
Yeah.
3, 4 years old, instead of eating with their parents, instead of learning manners, instead of learning to eat good foods, and totally focus on the meal as a family gathering and as a place to fellowship, these kids are playing these little games, and I'm watching their little thumbs go, and I'm looking, and they're laying on the table, and mom and dad are not even paying attention to them.
Yeah.
They're just shoving a game in front of them, shoving some...
I walked through a restaurant and I saw a mom on this side of the table doing this, and I saw a little 4-year-old boy on the other side of the table doing this, and I thought, how sad. He's been at school all day, she's been at work, and now they're not even talking.
So,
you know,
so tell us,
afterward.
what are these electronics doing? What age would you say don't let them do this?
You know, I would wait till at least they're 8 or 9 years old, because they have to, or else you're going to have time restraints. You're going to say, oh, you can do this for this much time. You need to play outside. You don't want to use playing outside as a penalty.
No.
That should be a part of a reward of what is happening.
Right.
But the word is collateral damage. We have so much collateral damage because of these electronic toys.
Right.
And they've done some studies that our whole society as a whole, we're becoming very inarticulate. We're who are becoming illiterate. And the electronic toys also stimulate their brains because they can't fall asleep at night because their brains are working on purging that. But let's give these people some good news out here, okay?
Right, yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
Starting to get depressed myself.
I know, it's like it's sobering. I'm just picturing all these kids and thinking about how many kids we've lost to this.
Anyways, 1 tablespoon per 100 pounds.
All right.
Get creative at home. Make the rice cereal treats that we talked about. We have a lot of food in here.
A lot of recipes in here.
There's a lot of recipes. Take your children grocery shopping.
We need parents leading children and mentoring and modeling and spending time with them, right?
Right, and we have the fractionalized families. It's all fractured. Dairy. Understand that dairy could be an issue. I'm not telling anybody to go off dairy products, but I do know this. If your child is consuming a lot of dairy, it interrupts DHA. Food coloring, trans fat, sugar, lack of minerals. We live in a society today where we are starving for minerals. So if you have a child at home that has leg cramps at night, it's usually a mineral. They need minerals. We use Celtic sea salt. So think about this, DHA, and they need to be exercising to burn that extra cortisol off. It works. I can guarantee it.
In 18 days, it can change a child's life.
All right, and it's natural. We're not putting drugs in our kids. We're not setting them up for suicide or for situations. What you said in the book also is that I couldn't believe the percentage of kids, once they grow up with ADHD as adults, they're still medicated their whole lives.
Yeah, antidepressants and all of that.
Keeps on going. 5 million kids, 8 million adults. It goes on and on and on. And then ultimately it's Alzheimer's, dementia, and death. It's all the same physiology.
I know you're reluctant to say it, but there's money behind this. There's money behind this. The drug community and drugging people from the cradle to the grave. It's not the way God intended it, is it?
Not at all.
There is a better way, God's way. God's made natural things in the earth to take care of our bodies, hasn't He?
That's right.
God made man tampered, minimize man tampered.
That's right. That's right. Well, there's so much more information in this book.
Yes,
it's so good.
Thank you,
can get this at
Dr. Bob.
Drenda.com right now, and there's also more discussions on there, more
Yes, we're
information.
going to go to the website. You go there now because we're going to have a web discussion with Dr. Bob, talk about it a little bit more. So you want to make sure, go to Drenda.com right now. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes.
So glad to have you. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for watching Drenda today. Hey, we want to help you out, put a smile on your face, give you answers, give you hope for your hectic week. One of the ways that we do that is through our download of the week, which is absolutely free and is available at Drenda.com right now. Make sure you check that out, download it and put it on your iPod or get it in your car to hear even more answers on today's topic. We also want to invite you to check out the blogs and the articles available, as well as leave us your comments and suggestions or ask us a question. We would love to hear from you. It's just one of the ways that we're helping you get life here on Drenda.
This has been a paid program sponsored by the friends and partners of Faith Life Now.